Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My dear students, our today's topic is about international institutions. Students, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I say the word international institution? Yes, it must be the UNO, the United Nations Organization. Dear students, let's try to understand first when and why the UNO was established. I hope all of you know 20th century was a witness to two world wars. And after both the wars, people wanted the peace. So after First World War, the League of Nations was formed. Why the League of Nations was formed? The League of Nations was formed to maintain the peace among various countries of the world. But unfortunately, the League of Nations failed. Unfortunately, the League of Nations failed. Now, let's try to understand what were the reasons why the League of Nations failed. The reasons for the failure of the League of Nations were, the number one, the absence of the great powers. You know, the great powers like Germany, United States of America, Japan, they were not the part of the League of Nations. As a result, there was no unanimity in the decision taken by the League of Nations. Number two, the dominance of the Britain and France. The League of Nations was dominated by France and Britain. You know the reason why the League of Nations was formed? So that it will be an end to the imperialism. It will be an end to the imperialistic rule all over the world. Although the League of Nations was formed, but Britain, they continued their rule in India, showing their dominance in the League of Nations. And third and very important reason was the dictatorship of Hitler and Mussolini. Adolf Hitler, he became the dictator of Germany, and Mussolini, he became the dictator of Italy. Both of them, both the dictators, they did not listen to anyone. They did not listen to anybody. As a result, they were not the part of the League of Nations as well. So whatever the decisions were taken by the League of Nations, they opposed them. The fourth reason was the Germany's invasion on Poland. There were some other reasons as well, but I have discussed the important reasons here. Now, when League of Nations failed, what happened next? As a result of the Second World War broke out. In the Second World War, the atom bombs were dropped on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The atom bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and it caused so much of destruction that the whole city was wiped out. There was so much of suffering and pain in the world, and as a result, all the countries of the world came together and decided they don't want any further wars like this. And as a result, they established the United Nations Organization to maintain peace in the world. After World War I, the League of Nations was established, but as already mentioned, it failed, and as a result of the Second World War broke out. And after the Second World War, the demand for the peace grew more stronger and stronger. At the global level, Winston Churchill of UK and Joseph Stalin of USSR and Franklin D. Roosevelt of USA, they attempted to establish an international organization for what? For peace. The word United Nations was proposed by Roosevelt of USA, and it was used after 26 nations signed an agreement on January 1st, 1945. Later, June 26, 1945, 51 nations signed the agreement of UNO at San Francisco. Finally, on October 24, 1945, UNO was officially founded. So this date, October 24, 1945, is very important from the examination point of view. At present, 193 countries have become the members of United Nations organization. And the membership is open to all the peace-loving countries who want to be the part of it. Okay, now my dear students, let's try to understand what were the aims of the United Nations organization. The UN Charter. Remember students, whenever we sign a document which all countries who are members will follow, we call it as a charter. The UN Charter is the main document of UNO. And how many chapters does it have? The UN Charter has 19 chapters. And how many articles? 111 articles. Articles means the laws. The UN Charter begins with the sentence, "We the people of the world." Like how our preamble in the Constitution begins with, "We the people of India." Here it begins with, "We the people of world." Now what are the aims? The following are the aims of the United Nations organization. Number 1, safeguarding the international peace and security. Number 2, fostering cooperation among nations. Fostering means encouraging cooperation among the nations. The third, improving the faith in the human rights. The fourth, exploring solutions to various economic, sociological, cultural, and other humanity-based problems with international cooperation. For example, sometimes many countries, if they have a conflict and just want to go for a war, but UNO's goal is to find a solution that's not based on war. The fifth aim of the United Nations organization is providing recognition to international agreements and conditions. Now, all countries of the world have come together to stop the climate change. They are taking steps to prevent global warming. So who gives recognition to such international agreements? It's United Nations organization. It's UNO. It's UNO. And the last aim of the United Nations organization is striving to build mutual trust and cooperation among the countries. Thank you.